Every thought you think is a blueprint that your mind, body, and psyche work to make real. But you have to do what you don't want to do to get to where you want to be. When you feel like a winner, you start to act like a winner. So I want you to make habits of wealth that will make you in turn wealthy. Stay till the end. Promise you this works. So in this video, I want to tell you the difference between making money and spending money, and making money and becoming super wealthy, generating wealth. People who are very successful tend to leave clues. They all have the same habits. I call them the 1%ers. One of the first things they do is that they take action every single day in the direction of their goals. Why is that? Well, because when you are on your way to success, you can't stop. If you're running a marathon, you can't keep stopping. You keep going and you stop when you've completed the marathon. That doesn't mean you have to work 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. It means on your way to success. Every day do one thing. On your weekend off, watch one tutorial, make one phone call, send 3 emails. If you're building success and you're asking for help, don't stop there. Keep going. People will say, oh my God, even on holiday, they're working. But people who are building success do that for a reason. They still make a phone call. When you've made it, you can absolutely switch off. You can enjoy your reward. But on your way to success, if you take action every single day in the direction of your goals, you'll feel like a winner. And of course, when you feel like a winner, you start to act like a winner. So the first step, take action every single day in the direction of your goals. Of course, have goals, know what your goals are, move towards them. So even if your goal was to be super fit, which is not about wealth, but on your day off, you could still do some stretches, a couple of crunches. I'm just giving you the picture here. You have to do something every day. The second thing that people who generate wealth do is that they do not take no for an answer. Of course they hear no. Of course they get rejected, but they bounce back. They what I call like a big rubber ball. They have the bounce back factor. If you've watched Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, you'll see people rejected, laughed off that show. There's a guy who made Trunky, the children's suitcase, you see all over the world. He was laughed off that show. He was rejected. He came back. We all know the story of KFC and how many times he had to hone that recipe. So people who fail get rejected. People who succeed get rejected. People who succeed come back from rejection. They will not take no for an answer. They don't even hear no. They hear, oh, no for today, no for the moment, no right now, but not later. They don't see no as a denial, they see no as a delay. And by the way, when I'm explaining these habits to you, you don't have to be born with them, you can adopt them. You can make them your own. Here's something that really marks out people who generate wealth. They will do what they don't want to do, or they actively dislike to get to where they want to be. Mick Jagger, for instance, studied accountancy. He's a rock star. Rock stars don't really like accounts. But he understood that he wanted to manage his own money because money makes money. Somebody might tell you, I had to ring investors every day, find a backer, find a partner, go to meetings, learn something I hated, but I was so determined to be successful. I did what I didn't want to do, and I did what I didn't want to do every day. That doesn't mean you should have a life doing what you hate. It means on your way to success, do what you don't do. Make uncomfortable calls. Do the things that stretch you out of your comfort zone, because that is another mark of success. People who are successful, what they don't want to do, and they do the thing they don't want to do, they do it first. So let's break it down. Doing what you do not want to do means you're doing something that is scary, but of course if you do it enough, it's no longer scary. And you're doing things that are absolutely necessary. The amount of people who say, oh, I don't really do my sheets or my spreadsheets or my banking. I didn't really look at the numbers because it's boring. But you have to do what you don't want to do to get to where you want to be. The fourth thing that successful people do to generate wealth is they delay gratification. You see, we are hardwired as humans to do something and then to enjoy the reward. We see that with children. We have learning time and playtime. Parents say finish dinner and then you can go out to play. So we understand that we get reward for something we have done. But many people now just get the reward. I'm going to buy myself that treatment. I'm going to watch this show. I'm going to have a lovely dinner. On your way to success, what you have to do is go, hey, I'm having a lovely dinner, but first I'm going to just do 8 emails. I'm going to write a bit of my presentation. I'm going to sit down and really enjoy my favorite show. So we make everyday things, a cup of coffee, a phone call, delicious dinner, our favorite show. we make it the reward, and that wires us to do something, to delay gratification, and to sit back and think, hey, I've earned this. The opposite is, I'm having my lovely dinner. I'm always thinking, oh God, I've got to make those phone calls, I've got to do those emails, I've got to look at that presentation. We can't enjoy the lovely dinner or the wonderful show or the evening out with friends because we're thinking of what we have to do. So you have to get in the habit of delay gratification. There are many studies of children who were taught to delay gratification, and it stood them in good stead for their entire life. So delay the reward, earn the reward, because it makes you feel like a winner. It makes you feel that you're getting rewards for doing good stuff rather than just taking the reward for doing nothing, which means you can't enjoy it and you never feel like a winner. So I didn't come from wealth. I was a single parent with a child, and I actually inherited quite a lot of debt, and I had to really work through that. But I had so many wealthy clients and I learned from them. And the first thing I did, I decided, okay, I can make just enough money to pay my daughter's school fees, but I can't pay for anything else. She's at private school, it doesn't go on holiday, and I didn't want her to feel like the poor relation. I thought, well, how can I make a second income? By the way, never think what, it's always how. And I knew that I could write. So my first goal was to write a book. But writing a book involves being alone. So it's doing what you don't want to do. You've got to sit down on your own for long periods of time. So I did what I didn't want to do. I was young. I had a small child, and I sat alone in my house and I wrote and wrote and wrote. But here's the weird thing. When you do what you don't want to do, you actually start liking it. It's like saying, I don't want to do sit-ups, but after a while I think, I kind of like this. I don't want to do pull-ups, but now I'm liking the pull-ups. So I began to love writing. The thing I didn't want to do, shut myself or isolate myself and write, became the thing I loved. And I had to make myself also do it first. So that was my first thing, do what I don't want to do, spend hours on my own writing and do it first. I also had to take action every day in the direction of my goals. I wanted to be a really known therapist. I was very ambitious. And so I decided I would ring up papers and magazines and ask them to write about me, which, believe me, is not easy. So one day I saw a magazine, they were writing about walking on coals, and I called them and said, hey, you know, that's a form of hypnosis. Do you want to write about the real thing? The magazine was Men's Health. And they say, yes, that actually gave me a column. And so I learned very quickly that I did what I didn't want to do and took action. I made those calls, got up and made a call. Every day I rang a magazine or a newspaper or a radio show and said, hey, could I come on your show? Could I give you an idea to write about? I think I was in the paper or in a magazine every month for 18 months. A lot of times they said, no, I've never heard, I don't want to write about you. Of course not. They hung up the phone. It wasn't easy, but it stretched me. I still had to do it. I understood. I don't want to do this. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to get it out of the way. I also learned to delay gratification. In fact, when my book was being written, they're my favorite shows, and I remember I recorded it. I had my newspapers in a bin bag, and I thought, the day this book goes to press, I'll watch this show. I'll read these papers. And I was excited about that. But I had to delay that. I couldn't do a lot of things I loved doing, didn't go out again. I just focused on that book. And then, of course, step 4, come back from rejection. It was rejected. I remember vividly, this was long before sending out scripts over the internet, the thud. And I knew that thud was your manuscript coming back. They only send it back when they don't want it. I remember sitting in my living room and heard that thud. I thought, oh God, it's come back again. And I went out and I picked it up. But my agent was J.K. Rowling's agent. And I knew what you do. You put it back in and why don't you send it to someone else? So my book was rejected many times. And then finally I got an amazing deal. I got 10 times what I even wanted to get as a book deal. Because when it was rejected, I had to keep going. I had to think, okay, I'll just send it back again. I'll send it to another publisher. And so please don't think people who have made it have never been rejected, never been fired, never been laughed at, never been told, this is rubbish, I don't like it. They hear all of that, but they come back. They're like a big rubber ball. They have the bounce back factor. So when my book was rejected, I had to send it back and send it back again. Eventually I got an amazing 2-book deal. I've now written 7 books. And one of my books about 5 years ago was rejected again. And so I published it myself. It was a book on fertility. I published it, there's no money in fertility, but I'm so glad I published it myself because people write from all over the world and say, hey, I got pregnant from that book. I've been trying for 10 years and that book gave me a baby. So I'm very glad I didn't give up with that one either. You have to come back. Every day you get a choice, and here's the choice: talk myself into giving up or talk myself out of it. When you have a brilliant brain, you have two choices, and you can choose to be negative. But if you could see what that did to your body, you would never allow that to happen, because while you can choose to be negative, your poor body has no choice but to act on those negative words. Every thought you think is a blueprint that your mind, body, and psyche work to make real. So look at those four things. You can apply them to anything. And also understand that wealth is a long game. Many people say, I bought property, I had to keep it for 20 years before I saw a return on the investment. Some people have spent years and years with a prototype, inventing something, bringing it to market, getting it just right. The man who wrote Desperate Housewives, it took 15 years before that was picked up. So if you want to build long, lasting wealth, you must take action every day in the direction of your goals. Bounce back from rejection. Do not take no for an answer. Do what you do not want to do, and do that first. Delay gratification. But here's the great thing. As you start to do those things, they stop being what you do. They become who you are. You find you actually start to like it. It makes you excited about creating wealth rather than scared. Instead of living in fear and lack, you're living in purpose and excitement, with the belief that what you want wants you, and what you are moving towards is absolutely moving towards you, because that is the mark of success. It's long-term planning. If you found this helpful, I have a lot of videos that will help you master these techniques and skills that you need to generate wealth. I also have some audios that will help you, again, overcome money blocks, overcome wealth blocks, overcome fear of failure, create that mindset of success, because success has so much to do with having the right mindset. I have created a lot of material that will help you, and I really hope you love it, enjoy it, and most of all benefit from it hugely. Check out my next video here.